Jane here, back again to show you the second part of the foil papers to Dazzle Your Artwork series. Now, in this particular video, I'm going to be doing, let me just show you, this will be the silver piece that after we put our design on the paper, this is what the paper will look like before we paint it. There will be lines. It's part of the pattern. What you're going to need to do is get your kitchen foil, Reynolds heavy duty kitchen foil, your adhesive. I'm using Elmer's, but you can use Mod Podge. You can use Liquitex or Gloss Medium, Golden. I wouldn't use a glue stick because it won't be secure enough when you're finished. It won't hold up well in your artwork. And you're going to need a piece of watercolor paper or mixed media paper to use as a backing for this particular paper. And what you do is you begin with your foil and you're going to try to shape it. You are going to shape it, in fact. You're going to crunch it. You're going to crunch it, and you're going to be looking for areas that are flat as you move the paper around, that you have spots that later on we are going to engrave some lines in. So that is your goal. Now the next step is to turn this over and see all the bumps that are here. We're going to place the adhesive onto the bumps only. Put your adhesive on the foil paper first. And I'll give you a reason for that. And sometimes I don't have reasons, but I do have a reason in this particular situation. So I'm going to put this aside. You will apply your Elmer's liberally. And the reason why I wanted you to put this on second is because I didn't want this to dry while you were applying the adhesive to the foil. If it took too much time, this would be drying. And now we're just going to place the foil on top of this. And you might say to yourself, well, why didn't you just put it on the flat surface, on the backing and only the backing? Because I really would like better to make sure that it adheres better. Now you're going to press into the pockets that you've created. That's basically it. This looks like it's adhered pretty well. It is very well, actually, I would say. You get around to the edges so that the edges are holding nice and firm. And now you're going to take something that you're going to draw with. And I'm going to use both these. I want to create bigger lines, so I would suggest using something a little more rounded. And then for the smaller pockets, you can use this narrower end of the brush. And just begin drawing lines into the pockets. And so now there's a big pocket, but I'm going to use the lines going in two different directions. And these surfaces are becoming flatter. And the more pockets you have, the more interest you create. Now I'm going to take this smaller, and I'm going to go into some smaller crevices with this. Use a bigger one for this, so it's a little deeper. And I want to say too, if it does tear a little bit here and there, and it shouldn't, it's pretty strong because you have the adhesive down on the backing paper and on the foil. But if it does, it's not to worry. It does pinch together fine. So that's kind of about it. And what you're going to do now is you're going to lay a book on it to flatten it out a bit. And then the degree to which you flatten it out is going to be up to you, but you'll see it after it dries. And then, of course, we're going to paint it. And you'll see all these lovely designs coming out. So I am going to place the book on top of it. So I can even put that on there. And I will be back. And then from there I will show you the next step. Okay? Bye. Okay, here we are again. And this is the part where we're going to show up the design with the paint. But I did take the book off. I did cut all the excess foil off the end of the backing. And I did lift up some of the edges because they weren't fastened as well as I would have liked them to be fastened after I cut the excess off. So I did add extra Elmer's glue underneath. Now, I'm just going to roll over it a little because I would like to flatten it out a little bit. What you saw here was what was left after I took the book off. I think that's kind of about it for me. Here's for the fun part, the paint. And I've decided to make it more a neutral color so that it will go with perhaps some more things. And I want to just say to you too, if you're going to use sprays on this at all, don't use it for the first coat because they're going to just run off the foil. You won't be happy with that. Now you could apply it with your finger and allow more silver to show through. Or this soft brush sort of gets into some of the crevices, which I'm liking. And I also have another color on hand here. It's a little dark. This is burnt sienna. So I'm going to use a bit of that. And of course, I'm hoping this comes out nice. You have to play with it. Remember, it is experimental art. And you can leave it just with the one coat. There's nothing to say that you have to go on with painting it more, but I am going to add some additional layers to this. And then we're going to have to dry it because we don't want to, I don't want to layer on top of wet paint. It'll only get muddy and you won't see the different colors as well. All right, so that's basically it. I don't know if you can see. I'm going to hold it up a little closer so you can see what we did here. And I'll be back in a moment to put the next layer on. Okay, now this is dry. But I thought that I would like to add a little more of the deeper color to this. And I wanted to mention too, I keep my alcohol on hand. Let's say I wasn't so happy about some of the paint, which I am, but I'm going to you just put a little alcohol and you can blot as you go along. And just to highlight some of the areas with a little darker paint to bring out and to turn it around sometimes is helpful as well. And when you're finished, I always have to say, put a coat of matte or gloss medium, or both actually, half gloss and half matte medium, Liquitex or golden, to protect the paper so that it will hold up well in your projects. Otherwise it becomes a little more fragile and you really don't want to be disappointed as you perhaps make a book cover or a card or a piece of mixed media artwork. I'm just going to dry it for a moment. I have my heat gun here, which of course you can use. Okay, so it's dry, and I have decided to use some turquoise to accent with a little turquoise. Just to give you the idea now, you can leave this just the way it is because it is quite pretty the way it is. But just to show you that you can add layers and what it might look like, I thought might be helpful. And I'm just going to do that with my finger. And you run it just with your finger. You can try a brush. And we are going to, again, dry that. We're going to again dry that. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to add an additional layer. I thought that I would like to put a little bronze on there. I wanted to tell you too that in the very last part of this series, I will be doing artwork using these papers. I know at least I would feel that I would want to know what I could do. I would want to see something, a project of some kind, so that I am going to do that, and I hope that you'll join me for that, as well as if you like what you see, leave me a like. I would appreciate that. If you have a question or a comment, please feel free to ask, and I certainly will get back to you. And if you aren't already subscribed to my channel, I would really like you to join me so that we could spend more time together. Now you see how that just enhanced the paper a little bit more, and again it has to be to your liking. And I did sort of avoid these little areas a little bit. You could run some colors over there, over these lines too. I didn't do too much of that. But again, that's your preference. And that's basically it. There's your paper. And I hope that you like it. And I hope you'll give it a try. I'm going to add a little bit more here. The more you look at it, the more you see things that need to be done. All right, I hope you enjoyed this part of the series. And the next one, I'm going to be doing a very textural piece of foil that I think is particularly beautiful as well. All right, so see you soon. Bye.